You're sitting on your porch, coffee in hand, watching the sun dip below the horizon in a blaze of orange and pink. It's your daily ritual, your slice of peace in a chaotic world. But one day, your nosy neighbor slaps up a massive fence right in your line of sight, turning that breathtaking view into a blank wall of wood. And just when you think it can't get worse, they start whining about your garden being an eyesore. Oh, the nerve! But what if I told you that one sneaky, anonymous call to City Hall flipped the script entirely? Stick around, because this revenge story is about to get juicy. It's petty, it's clever, and it's got a twist that'll make you cheer. Hey everyone! Welcome back to the channel where we dive into those real-life tales that make you go, no way! I'm your host, and today we're unpacking a neighbor feud that escalated from a simple fence to a full-blown comeback. You know those stories where good fences make good neighbors? Well, this one proves that sometimes a bad fence makes for epic revenge. We'll walk through the build-up, the boiling point, and that satisfying payoff. Trust me, if you've ever dealt with a nightmare next door, this one's for you. Let's jump in. Picture a quiet suburban street, the kind with manicured lawns and kids riding bikes until dusk. That's where our story starts. With me? Yeah, I'm telling this from my own experience, or at least that's how it felt when it happened. I bought my house 5 years ago, drawn in by that killer backyard view. Every evening, I'd unwind watching the sun set over the hills, painting the sky like a masterpiece. It wasn't just pretty, it was therapeutic. After a long day at work, that view reset my soul. But then, enter the villain, my new neighbor, Karen. Wait, her name wasn't actually Karen, but you know the type. Let's call her Brenda, for the sake of anonymity. Brenda moved in next door about 2 years back, and from day one, she had opinions. Strong ones. At first, it was small stuff. She'd wave hello, but then mutter about how my recycling bins were cluttering the curb. I'd smile and nod, thinking, live and let live, right? But Brenda wasn't the live and let live type. She was the president of the HOA in her mind, even though our neighborhood didn't have one. She planted perfectly pruned bushes, power washed her driveway weekly, and glared at anyone whose grass grew a millimeter too long. Me? I'm more of a free-spirit homeowner. My garden was my pride. Wildflowers, veggies, a few quirky sculptures from local artists. It wasn't magazine perfect, but it was alive, colorful, and full of butterflies. Kids from the block loved peeking over to see the sunflowers towering like giants. Now, here's where the drama kicks off. One weekend, I come home from a quick grocery run, and boom, there's a crew hammering away in Brenda's yard. They're erecting this monstrosity of fence. Not a cute picket one. Oh no, this thing was 8 feet tall, solid cedar planks, stretching right along our shared property line. It completely obliterated my sunset view. I mean, gone. Zilch. Instead of fiery skies, I was staring at what looked like a prison wall. I marched over, heart pounding, and asked Brenda what the deal was. She smiled that fake sweet smile and said, "Oh, honey, it's for privacy. You know, with your garden and all." My garden? What did that even mean? I pressed her, and she just waved it off, saying it was her right to build on her property. I was fuming. That view was why I paid extra for the house. I checked the local zoning laws. Turns out, fences over 6 feet need a permit in our town. Did she get one? I didn't know yet, but I let it slide for a bit, hoping she'd come around. Spoiler, she didn't. In fact, things got worse. A week later, I get a knock on my door. It's Brenda, clipboard in hand, looking like she's on a mission. "We need to talk about your yard," she says, nose wrinkled like she smelled something rotten. She handed me a list, yes, a handwritten list, of issues with my garden. Weeds invading her side, they weren't. Unsightly tomato cages, they were standard. And my favorite, the bird feeders attracting vermin like squirrels. She called my vibrant oasis an eyesore that was bringing down property values. Can you believe it? Here I was, mourning my lost sunsets, and she's complaining about my harmless hobby. I tried to be civil. "Brenda, let's work this out," I said. "Maybe we can compromise on the fence height." But she shut me down cold. "It's staying," she snapped. And if you don't clean up that mess, I'll report you to the city. Report me? For what? Growing basil. That was the last straw. I smiled politely, closed the door, and started plotting. Not some wild scheme, mind you, just a little research. See, I'm not one for confrontation, but I'm great at digging up facts. That night, I hopped online, scouring city ordinances. Turns out, not only do tall fences need permits, but there are rules about spite fences, those built just to annoy neighbors. Brenda's fence screamed spite, plus her privacy excuse? Bogus. Our yards were already separated by hedges. But wait, it gets better. As I dug deeper, I remembered something Brenda mentioned in passing once. She'd renovated her kitchen without telling anyone. I wondered if she pulled permits for that too. A quick public record search later, and jackpot. No permits on file for a fence or that fancy new deck she bragged about. In our town, unpermitted work can lead to fines, inspections, and even forced removals. The pieces were falling into place. But I didn't stop there. I chatted with other neighbors discreetly. Turns out, Brenda had a history. The guy across the street said she complained about his holiday lights being too bright. Another family mentioned her griping about their dogs barking. She was a neighborhood busybody, alienating everyone. Now, think about this. Have you ever had a neighbor like that? Someone who thinks their way is the only way? It builds up, doesn't it? That slow burn of frustration. For me, it peaked when I tried to enjoy my garden one evening. The sun was setting, but all I saw was that ugly fence mocking me. Birds chirped, flowers bloomed, but the magic was gone. And then Brenda's voice floated over. Still haven't fixed that eyesore? She was peeking through a gap, judging me. Enough was enough. I decided on revenge, not destructive, but poetic. One anonymous tip to City Hall about potential code violations. That's it. Simple, legal, and oh so satisfying. Before I reveal what happened next, let's pause. Imagine you're in my shoes. Your peaceful haven ruined. Your creativity criticized. Would you let it slide or fight back smartly? That's the beauty of these stories. They make us question our own limits. Okay, back to it. I made the call from a payphone. Yes, they still exist for extra anonymity. Hello, city inspections? I'd like to report possible unpermitted construction at Brenda's address. Tall fence, new deck, maybe more. I kept it factual, no emotions. Hung up and waited. Days turned to weeks. Nothing at first. I started doubting if it'd work. But then, one morning I hear trucks pulling up. Peeking out, I see city inspectors swarming Brenda's yard. They're measuring the fence, checking the deck, even poking around her renovations. Brenda's out there, red-faced, arguing. This is ridiculous. Who reported this? The inspectors just shrugged. Anonymous tips are protected. I watched from my window, sipping coffee, feeling a rush of justice. It was like a scene from a movie, the know-it-all finally getting a taste of her own medicine. As the day unfolded, more details emerged. Neighbors whispered that the fence was indeed over height, without a permit. Fine, $500. The deck? Shoddy work, not up to code. Another $1,000 plus fixes. And get this, her kitchen reno? No electrical permits, which meant potential hazards. They ordered a full inspection, and she had to tear out parts to prove safety. Total cost to her? Easily over $5,000, not counting the hassle. But the best part? The fence had to come down to 6 feet. My sunset view? Restored. Glorious. Of course, Brenda suspected me. She stormed over that evening, pounding on my door. Was this you? Admit it. I played innocent. What are you talking about? I heard the city was cracking down on violations. She huffed and puffed, but without proof, she couldn't do a thing. And here's the twist. In her fury, she let slip that she built the fence partly because my garden offended her. A spite fence. That admission? Gold. I casually mentioned it to the inspectors next time they came by. Turns out, spite fences can be deemed nuisances, adding more pressure on her to comply. Weeks later, the fence was shortened. Sunsets returned more vibrant than ever. My garden? Still thriving, now with extra flair, a new sign saying wildlife welcome. Brenda? She kept to herself after that. No more complaints. In fact, she even waved hello occasionally, though it looked forced. The neighborhood breathed easier. Other folks thanked me quietly. Turns out I'd inspire a few anonymous tips of their own for minor gripes. But let's zoom out. This isn't just about a fence or a garden. It's about boundaries, literal and figurative. When someone oversteps, sometimes a nudge back sets things right. Think about your own life. That co-worker who steals credit, the friend who flakes constantly. Revenge doesn't have to be mean. It can be strategic, teaching a lesson without direct confrontation. In my case, it restored peace and maybe made Brenda rethink her ways. Now, for those wondering, was it worth it? Absolutely. No regrets. The thrill of that anonymous tip, the satisfaction of watching karma unfold, priceless. If you're dealing with a similar situation, remember, knowledge is power. Check those local laws, document everything, and act smartly. Don't stoop to their level. Rise above with facts. Before we wrap, let's count down the top 3 lessons from this saga. Number 3, always get permits. Skipping them bites back hard. Number 2, don't mess with someone's sanctuary. It might cost you yours. And number 1, revenge served cold via bureaucracy is the sweetest kind. What do you think? Ever pulled off a petty revenge? Drop it in the comments. I read them all. If this story fired you up, hit that like button. Subscribe for more real-life dramas, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next one. We've got tales of workplace wins, family feuds, and more coming up. Thanks for watching, and remember, in the game of neighbors, play smart or get fenced out. See you next time. Wait, one more thing. Imagine if Brenda had just talked out instead. Could have avoided the whole mess. Food for thought, right? All right, peace out. Word count, 1,456. Wait, that's not enough. I need to expand to at least 3,000. Let me add more details, backstories, subplots, and engagement. Let's extend the main content. Add backstory on how I met Brenda. More interactions. Build suspense with multiple confrontations. Describe visuals vividly. Add hypothetical scenarios, more rhetorical questions. Expanded version. Imagine this. You're sitting on your porch, coffee in hand, watching the sun dip below the horizon in a blaze of orange and pink. It's your daily ritual, your slice of peace in a chaotic world. But one day, your nosy neighbor slaps up a massive fence right in your line of sight, turning that breathtaking view into a blank wall of wood. And just when you think it can't get worse, they start whining about your garden being an eyesore. Oh, the nerve! But what if I told you that one sneaky, anonymous call to City Hall flipped the script entirely? Stick around, because this revenge story is about to get juicy. It's petty, it's clever, and it's got a twist that'll make you cheer. We're talking fine force fixes and a view restored. You won't believe how it all went down. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel, where we dive into those real-life tales that make you go, no way. I'm your host, and today we're unpacking a neighbor feud that escalated from a simple fence to a full-blown comeback. You know those stories where good fences make good neighbors? Well, this one proves that sometimes a bad fence makes for epic revenge. We'll walk through the build-up, the boiling point, and that satisfying payoff, step by step, with all the gritty details. Trust me, if you've ever dealt with a nightmare next door, this one's for you. It might even give you ideas for your own situations, but remember, use them wisely. Let's jump in and set the scene. Picture a quiet suburban street in a small town. Think white picket fences, but not quite. The kind with manicured lawns on one side and a bit of wild charm on the other. That's where our story starts, with me. I bought my house 5 years ago after a tough divorce. It was my fresh start, and what sealed the deal was that backyard view. The house sat on a slight hill, overlooking rolling fields that led to distant hills. Every evening, the sun would set there, turning the sky into a canvas of fiery reds, deep purples, and golden hues. I'd sit out there with a book or a glass of wine, letting the colors wash away the day's stress. It wasn't just a view, it was my therapy, my meditation spot. Friends would come over and rave about it. saying it was like living in a postcard. Then, 2 years ago, the house next door sold. Enter Brenda. She was in her mid-50s, retired early from some corporate job, and she moved in with her yappy little dog and a truckload of opinions. At first, I tried to be friendly. I baked cookies, chocolate chip my specialty, and brought them over as a welcome gift. She thanked me, but immediately asked if they were gluten-free. No. Oh, well, I'll pass them to the neighbors. Strike one. But I brushed it off. Live and let live, right? Over the next months, Brenda made her mark. She replanted her entire yard with uniform shrubs, installed motion sensor lights that blinded me at night, and started a neighborhood watch group that was really just her spying on everyone. She'd email the block about standards, things like how to mow lawns in straight lines. Me, my style was different. My garden was a labor of love. I had raised beds with tomatoes, cucumbers, and herbs. Wildflowers bordered the edges, attracting bees and butterflies. I even had a few whimsical touches. A recycled tire planter painted bright colors, a wind chime made from old spoons, and a small pond with goldfish. It wasn't perfect. Sometimes weeds snuck in, but it was eco-friendly and full of life. Kids from the street would stop by to pick a strawberry or watch the fish. It brought joy. Now, here's where the tension begins to build. One spring morning, I noticed surveyors in Brenda's yard. They're marking lines, chatting with her. I wave hello, but she ignores me. A few days later, the construction crew arrives. Hammers banging, saws whirring. They're building a fence. Not any fence, but a towering one. 8 feet high, solid panels, no gaps. It ran the entire length of our shared boundary, right up to where my view started. By the end of the day, half my backyard was shadowed, and the sunset blocked completely. Instead of open skies, I had this imposing barrier staring back at me. I was stunned, heart racing. I went over to talk. Brenda, what's going on with the fence? She crossed her arms, that smug look on her face. Privacy, dear. Your yard is busy. All those plants and things. It's distracting. Distracting? My garden? I pointed out how it ruined my view, but she shrugged. Property rights. It's my land. I asked if she had a permit. I knew from a quick Google that fences over 6 feet required one. She hesitated, then said, Of course, mind your own business. But her eyes darted away. Suspicious. That night, I couldn't sleep. The view was gone, and with it, my peace. I started researching. City codes confirmed. Permits needed for tall fences to ensure they're safe and not blocking light unreasonably. Also, spite fences are frowned upon, those built purely to annoy. Brenda seemed to fit the bill, but I didn't act yet. Instead, I tried diplomacy. I invited her for coffee, hoping to negotiate. Maybe we can lower it a bit, or add a gate. She laughed. No need. And frankly, your garden is an eyesore. Those rusty cages and wild weeds. It's lowering the neighborhood's appeal. Rusty? They were galvanized. Weeds? Native plants. I bit my tongue, but inside I was boiling. Weeks passed, and the fence stayed. My sunsets were history. I tried to enjoy the garden, but Brenda's comments echoed. Then the complaints escalated. She left notes on my door. Please remove bird feeders. Squirrels are pests. Trim overgrown bushes. They're encroaching. Encroaching? By an inch? I ignored them at first, but then she took it public. At a neighborhood barbecue, she loudly announced, Someone needs to tidy up their yard. It's becoming a jungle. Everyone knew she meant me. Humiliating. Imagine the frustration. Your home, your sanctuary, under attack. Have you been there? That slow drip of annoyance turning into a flood? For me, it hit a peak one evening. I was watering plants, minding my business, when Brenda yelled over the fence, Still haven't fixed that mess? The whole street is talking. The whole street? Doubtful. But it stung. That's when I decided, time for action. Not yelling, not vandalism. No, something smarter. Revenge through rules. First, I gathered evidence. Photos of the fence from all angles, measurements showing it was over 8 feet. I checked public records. No permit filed for it. Digging deeper, I found out about her other projects. She boasted about a new sunroom and basement finish. No permits for those either. In our town, that's big trouble. Fines start at $200 for violation, but for structural stuff, it can mean thousands plus retroactive inspections. If unsafe, tear downs. But before the tip, let's tease the plan. What if I told you this anonymous call uncovered more than just a fence issue? A hidden secret in Brenda's backyard that shocked everyone. Hang on, we'll get there. I chose anonymity to avoid direct conflict. Use a library computer to email the tip line. Concerned citizen reporting potential unpermitted work at address. Tall fence, sunroom, basement reno. Please investigate. Sent. Now the wait. 2 weeks later, the show began. I hear voices outside. Inspectors. 3 of them. Clipboards ready. They're in Brenda's yard, taping measures, taking notes. Brenda rushes out, flustered. What's this about? Routine check on a tip, they say. She turns pale. They measure the fence. 8.2 feet, no permit. Violation. Then the sunroom. Windows not up to code. Electrical sketchy. Basement. Flood risk issues. Fines piled up. $750 for the fence. $1,200 for the sunroom. $2,000 for basement, plus mandatory electrician. But the twist? While inspecting, they found something else. An unpermitted pool. Brenda had dug a small in-ground one, hidden behind bushes. No safety fence, no drain compliance. Major hazard. Fine, $3,000, and she had to fill it in or permit it properly, costing thousands more. The neighborhood buzzed. How did she hide a pool? Turns out, she'd done it quietly during COVID. Brenda was furious. She accused everyone, including me. You did this, she screamed over the fence. I calmly replied, me? I wouldn't know where to start. No proof, no case. The fence came down to 6 feet. My view back in full glory. Sunsets never looked better. Months later, Brenda sold the house, moving to a condo. Peace restored. My garden? Blooming, with new additions like a butterfly house. Lessons? 1. Rules exist for a reason. 2. Don't be a bully. Karma bites. 3. Smart revenge wins. What about you? Share your stories below. Like, subscribe, hit the bell. Thanks for listening. This was a wild ride. Until next time, keep your views clear and your gardens wild. Now counting words, aiming for 3,000 plus. To reach 3,000, add more descriptive scenes, internal thoughts, dialogue, additional substories. Final expanded script. Hey, picture this. You're kicking back on your porch after a long day, the sky exploding in a riot of orange, pink, and purple as the sun slips away. It's that perfect moment, the one that makes everything feel right with the world. But then out of nowhere, your neighbor throws up this giant, ugly fence that cuts off the whole show. Poof, gone. And as if that's not bad enough, they start nitpicking your beloved garden, calling it an eyesore like they're the queen of the block. Oh man, the audacity. But wait, what if I told you one little anonymous tip to City Hall turned the tables in the most satisfying way imaginable? Fines flying, fences falling, and a view reborn. This revenge story is packed with pettiness, drama, and a twist that'll have you fist pumping. Don't go anywhere. We're diving deep. Welcome back, folks, to the channel where we spill the tea on those neighbor nightmares that hit way too close to home. You know me. I'm just a regular guy who's been to the ringer with bad neighbors. And today, I'm sharing my own epic tale of comeback karma. It's not about big explosions or shouting matches. It's about playing smart, using the system, and watching justice unfold like a slow burn thriller. If you've ever stared at a fence thinking, why me? This one's going to resonate. We'll break it down from the peaceful beginning to the chaotic middle and that oh-so-sweet end. Grab a snack, settle in, because this script is going to keep you hooked. Let's roll. So, let's set the scene like we're in a movie. Imagine a cozy little suburb, the kind where houses have big backyards and the air smells like fresh-cut grass in summer. My place? It's a modest two-story with a wraparound porch, but the real star was the backyard. I bought it 6 years ago after scraping together every penny from my job as a graphic designer. The view sold me, looking west over a gentle slope of fields that stretched to distant hills. Every sunset was a spectacle, the sun dipping low, casting long shadows, turning clouds into cotton candy flames. I'd plop down in my old Adirondack chair, maybe with a cold beer or a mug of herbal tea, and just breathe. It was my escape from deadlines, traffic, and all the noise of life. Friends would visit and say, "Dude, this is paradise." Even my ex, before we split, called our happy place. My garden added to the magic. I'm no pro gardener, but I pour my heart into it. Raised beds bursting with heirloom tomatoes that tasted like summer, rows of zucchini that grew like weeds, fresh basil and mint for a homemade pesto. Around the edges, I planted wildflowers, poppies, daisies, coneflowers, to attract pollinators. Butterflies dance around, bees buzz happily, and I even had a small compost bin turning scraps into gold. For fun, I added quirky touches. A bird bath made from an old sink, wind chimes tinkling softly, and a couple of garden gnomes peeking out from the foliage. It wasn't pristine. Sometimes the vines got a bit unruly, but it was vibrant, alive, and full of color. Neighborhood kids loved it. They'd ask to pick a carrot or watch the ladybugs. Everything was golden until Brenda showed up. She bought the house next door about 3 years back. Brenda was in her late 50s, sharp-dressed, with that I've got all figured out vibe. She retired from some high-powered sales job and treated the neighborhood like her new office. From day one, she was intense. I tried the good neighbor thing, mowed her lawn once when she was away, waved every morning. But Brenda, she had standards, high ones. Her yard was like a golf course. Perfectly edged grass, symmetrical bushes, not a leaf out of place. She'd power wash her sidewalk at dawn, blasting away invisible dirt. Her little terrier, Spike, yapped at everything, but heaven forbid your cat wandered over. At first, the issues were minor. She'd comment on my recycling bins. "They're a bit messy, don't you think?" Blocks the view. I'd chuckle and adjust them. Then came the passive-aggressive notes. One stuck to my mailbox. Friendly reminder, grass should be under 3 inches for curb appeal. My grass was fine, but I let it slide, thinking she'd mellow. Nope. She formed an unofficial block committee and started emailing everyone about community guidelines. Things like no holiday lights after January 1st, or parking rules she made up. People rolled their eyes, but no one confronted her. Me? I stayed neutral, focusing on my garden. That spring, I expanded it, added a trellis for climbing roses, a small herb spiral. It looked amazing, smelling like a dream. Now, here's where the storm brews. One Friday afternoon, I pull into my driveway after work, and there's a construction truck in Brenda's yard. Workers are unloading lumber, digging post holes. I wander over, curious. "Hey, what's going up?" Brenda smiles thinly. "A privacy fence. Need some separation." Separation? Our yards were already divided by a low hedge. But okay, maybe she wanted solitude. By Sunday, the fence was up, and it was a beast. 8 feet tall, thick cedar boards, no see-through slats. It loomed like a fortress wall, casting a shadow over half my garden in the afternoons. Worst of all, it completely blocked my sunset view. What was once an open panorama now ended at this blank, brown barrier. I felt gut-punched, heart thumping. I knocked on her door. "Brenda, this fence, it's killing my view. Can we talk about it?" She stepped out, arms folded. "My property, my choice. Besides, your garden is overwhelming. All those colors and clutter. This gives me peace." Clutter? My garden was art. I mentioned the height. Knew from a quick phone search that anything over 6 feet needed a city permit for safety reasons, like wind resistance. "Did you get one?" She bristled. "Of course. Now, if you'll excuse me." But her voice wavered. I walked away fuming, the sunset that night hidden behind wood. Instead of relaxing, I paced, feeling trapped in my own home. That was just the start. The fence wasn't only visual, it changed everything. My plants on that side got less sun, wilting a bit. Birds seemed confused. Fewer butterflies visited. And Brenda? She ramped up the criticism. A few days later, I find a list slipped under my door, typed bullet points. Issues with adjacent property. 1. Overgrown vegetation encroaching on fence line. 2. Unsightly structures, e.g., tomato cages appear rusted. 3. Bird feeders attracting rodents and debris. 4. Overall aesthetic detracts from neighborhood value. She called my garden an eyesore. Me, who composted and grew organic food, while she sprayed chemicals on her lawn. I was livid. I tried reasoning again. Invited her over for tea in the garden. See? It's not bad. Maybe we can trim the fence top for the view. She sipped, grimaced at my herbal blend. No, it's staying. And honestly, this place looks like a junkyard. Clean it up or I'll have to escalate. Escalate? To who? She hinted at calling the city for violations. That did it. No more Mrs. Nice Guy. From me. Anyway, I started documenting. Photos of the fence, notes on her comments, even timestamps. Talked to other neighbors quietly. Turns out, Brenda had history. The family 2 doors down said she complained about their kids' trampoline being noisy. The old couple opposite? She nagged them about their mailbox color. She was the block's unofficial tyrant, and people were tired. Think about it for a second. Have you ever had that one person who makes everything a battle? The kind who turns a friendly wave into a judgment session? It wears you down, right? For me, it built like a pressure cooker. One evening, I'm out watering, trying to salvage my shaded plants, when Brenda's head pops over the fence, like she must have been on a ladder. Still haven't addressed those issues? The squirrels from your feeders are digging in my yard. Squirrels? Their nature. I snapped back. Brenda, mind your own yard. She gasped, disappeared. That night, I knew. Time for revenge. But not hot-headed stuff. Cold, calculated, legal. First, more research. I spent hours on the city's website. Confirmed. Fences over 6 feet require permits. Engineering stamps for stability. No record of Brenda's. Also, nuisance fences or spite bills can be challenged if they serve no purpose but annoyance. Hers? Pure spite. She admitted it was for privacy for my overwhelming garden. Then jackpot. Public records showed no permits for her recent home upgrades. She bragged about a new kitchen island, bathroom remodel, even a hot tub install. All needed approvals for plumbing, electrical. Skipping them? Fines, inspections, possible do-overs. But wait, before I spill the revenge, let's build the suspense. What if this tip uncovered something bigger than a fence? A secret project Brenda hid from everyone. Something that could cost her thousands more? Hold that thought, it's coming. I decided on an anonymous tip. No trace to me. Use the burner app on my phone for the call. City code enforcement? I'd like to report possible unpermitted construction. Address is Brenda's. Tall fence, kitchen reno, bathroom updates, hot tub. Worth checking. Kept it factual, polite. Hung up, heart racing with excitement and a twinge of guilt. Was I being petty? Maybe, but she started it. The wait was torture. A week, nothing. 2 weeks, zip. I started thinking it flopped. Then one Tuesday morning, I'm sipping coffee when I hear engines. Peeking out, 2 city vans pull up to Brenda's. Inspectors in hard hats step out, knocking on her door. She answers, confused and agitated. They're gesturing at the fence, pulling out tape measures. I watch from behind curtains, grinning. They confirm 8.5 feet, no permit, violation 1. Then they inspect the hot tub, wiring not up to code, no safety cover. Fine 2. Kitchen, countertops installed without plumbing check. Potential leak risks. Bathroom, tile work over old pipes, no inspection. Piles of paperwork. But the real shocker? While checking the backyard, they spot an unpermitted shed she built for storage. Inside, a home gym with electrical outlets. Unsafe, no ground fault protection. And get this, it encroached on the property line by a foot. My side, that meant boundary dispute, survey needed. Total fines? Over $4,500 initially, plus cost to fix or remove. Brenda was yelling, "This is harassment." Who tipped you? Inspectors. Anonymous, ma'am. But the violations are real. The neighborhood watched the spectacle. Whispers spread. Finally, someone stood up to her. She suspected me, of course. Banged on my door that night. "You. I know it was you." I opened, calm as can be. "Brenda, what's wrong?" She ranted, but I denied everything. Sounds like the city doing their job. "No evidence." She stormed off. Over the next month, the fallout was glorious. Fence ordered shortened to 6 feet. Workers sawed it down, and my sunsets returned brighter than ever. The shed? Torn down. Hot tub drained and removed. Kitchen and bath? Partial tear-outs for inspections, costing her another $6,000 in contractors. Total hit? Easily $12,000. She grumbled to anyone who'd listen, but sympathy was scarce. In fact, a couple neighbors admitted they'd sent tips too about her loud leaf blower or illegal parking. The twist that sealed it? During the boundary survey, it turned out her fence was 2 inches over my line originally. I could have sued, but I let it go. Revenge achieved. Brenda quieted down after that. No more notes, no peeking. She even nodded hello sometimes, though it looked painful. My garden flourished. View intact, peace restored. Zooming out, this story is about more than a fence. It's about standing up when pushed, using brains over brawn. We all face bullies, neighbors, bosses, whoever. Sometimes a strategic move flips the script. Did I feel bad? A little, but justice tasted sweet. Let's count down the key takeaways to wrap this up. Number 5, document everything. Photos, notes, save it all. Number 4, know your local laws. They're your secret weapon. Number 3, anonymity protects you. Use it wisely. Number 2, pettiness can be productive if it's legal. And number 1, don't block someone's sunset. You might lose your own view. What do you think? Ever tipped off authority for revenge? Or dealt with a Brenda? Spill in the comments. I love reading your stories. If this hit home, smash that like, subscribe for more Real Talk revenge tales, and ring the bell so you catch the next one. We've got workplace wins, family dramas, and more lined up. Thanks for hanging with me. This was a roller coaster. Remember, in neighbor wars, play the long game. See ya. Oh, and one last thought to leave you pondering. What if Brenda had just been kind from the start? Could have been friends sharing sunsets. Makes you wonder about the fences we build in life. Huh? All right, catch you next time.